festive feelings like me. The mood, the atmosphere, great. And I can actually tell you when things are happening in life, it is actually time for you, because it is a season of sharing, a season of love and care. Though I would say mine has not been so far good. Earlier today morning, I got to call my mother asking about one of the goats that we've been rearing. And sad news is that we have lost one. Surprisingly, we were supposed to sell it off and get some money for the festive season. Hey God, I can only imagine. Anyway, things do happen, and things happen indeed. It is time for the topical analysis. I'm Joram Paul Sonko. And how about if you do follow us on our social media platforms? When was the last time you heard of that? Twitter, Smart24TV. Facebook, Smart24TV. The website is www.smart24tv.com. YouTube, we are streaming live. That is on Smart24TV Space Live. Remember to hit the subscription button. We are on the road to 400 subscribers, and that is the way to go, trust me. And wherever you are and you are watching Smart24, thank you very much. We are the driving force for your business, and mine is to steer the wheel and make sure that we reach our destination. Profitability, stories, in-depth analysis, and more and more. What are we having in our topical analysis? Let's get right into it. Okay, we have the Tunisian-Uganda delegation 2021. This particular one was scheduled to happen in 2020, but due to COVID-19 and the restrictions during the time of the lockdown and what have you, it did not happen. It was pushed to earlier this year, still failed, but now at this particular time it had to proceed. The opportunities that arise in this two-day forum that was officially kicked off on Sunday 5th December will end on Tuesday 7th December 2021. The officiation of this particular one is to provide an opportunity for the Tunisian investors to tap into the available market in Uganda. There is market for them to actually get the goods rolling. And there is also an opportunity for the Ugandan local producers and service providers, as well as young entrepreneurs, to get investors from the Tunisian country or from the Tunisian market to tap into them and support them as well. So you can definitely see it. It's a win situation. Tunisia is getting, Uganda is getting. When I'm getting the 50%, you're getting the 50%. Tunisia is getting the market. Uganda, meanwhile, is getting the awareness. It is imports and exports in the strategy here. So what we do know is the Tunisian products have the potential to hit the market here. Reason being, they're of good quality. And as we are welcoming, because what I do, as you've actually heard from Mr. Thaddeus of Casita, he came out and highlighted some of the few things. He says, we are on a strategy of saying, buy Uganda, build Uganda. Why don't we change it to buy Uganda and buy quality? That is what he was saying. That in such an initiative, when you look at the Tunisian products, they look to be of good quality. So if we are to say, buy Uganda, build Uganda, remember the other story whereby most of the members of parliament were questioning the government is branding of the buy Uganda, build Uganda policy and saying that maybe it is going to hinder international relations. That is why most of them were actually calling for a rebranding of the strategy, because the buy Uganda, build Uganda, the build Uganda part is actually more selfish oriented than you can expect, because maybe some countries feel Ugandans are always self-centered and they are prioritizing themselves at the expense of the others. So at the end of it all, like 30 years of Casita says, let's try to drive it in a strategy that buy Uganda, buy quality. That whenever, if we are to buy the quality, we should buy the quality products in Uganda, then we're promoting our local producers to compete favorably on the world market by producing quality products. Not only that though, and she has also, rather, he also mentioned that with the fact that if we are to bring in imports from other countries, let's us also look at the quality of these products. And let's look at it. How important are they to the market? How, of what quality do they provide to the Ugandan market? Look at all things. It's quite a win-win situation, like I was mentioning. Not so. So if we are having our products being exported to Tunisia, look at the milk, the production, lots of that detail. And then we're also having products coming in from Tunisia, and they have quality. You know, Tunisians are so good at the confectionery, cakes, and what have you. And it being a desert country, but everything about their business is that the quality out there is indeed worth it. Okay, and if we have to stick onto that issue, let's look at the opportunities that are rising here. Ugandan investors can pitch in, or during this particular conference, we had over 20 companies from Tunisia. So the Ugandan local producers that were also taking part in the same forum wanted to use this as an opportunity for them to strike. You see, there is an opportunity you can get and strike it dead end. And this is where the opportunity arises from. So let's utilize this, because we are looking at another advantage of saying, you know what, how about if we stick to a matter of saying, tufunye omuntu agenda okujja aleeta ebyamaguzi bye mu ggwanga naye bw'aba azze mu byamaguzi byaffe kiba kitegeeza naffe tusobola omuguza idea nti hey, the good thing is you're bringing in your products, then create for us market for our products as well. Because I can only understand that if this is the government giving room for the Tunisian investors to come through, the Tunisian companies to sell here, and that means it is going to open up the opportunities. The Tunisian ambassador actually highlighted something that was very interesting. He says, we are looking at an opportunity that we've got to understand ourselves through sports, football, but in terms of the business, Uganda and Tunisia's relations have not yet been established thorough. So that is why with such a delegation visit meeting to Uganda, it is creating an opportunity for us to get to understand the concept of how things are in Tunisia. So we wanted to know if the people in Tunisia are doing this and that, how best can we gain from their market? Because they are going to be selling products here, and if they are to sell products in here, then that means we need to as well get going with the fact that, hey, it is time to actually go with it. If we have our market here, let's also get market in Tunisia. Because I saw some local producers, some local service providers who are also pitching in their ideas, talking to some of the foreign or the Tunisian investors. This is an opportunity, because as an entrepreneur, you need to be very aggressive. Oyino bomu jagu oba abanayuganda kyebanagamba nti weetega oyina okwetega mu situation gy'olaba nti egenda kuyisaawo kati obeerera mu situation nga tekuyisaawo, then awo ng'omanya nti hey, I messed up here, I messed up big time, but if I do this, I can actually get more out of my business. If I can do this, I can actually earn more out of my business. So in one way or the other, you can definitely agree that is where we draw the line. So pretty much the idea that gets us going. So if you are there and absolutely wondering and asking yourself questions that what do you need to do, the opportunities are there. When such investors come in the country, it gives us room to broaden the ideas as Ugandans. It gives us room to actually go out there and compete and have a market that is well competitive. Imagine having a market with Tunisian products, Ugandan products, Kenyan products, and Tanzanian products, and the Ugandan comes out and says, hey, I'm going to take the Ugandan product. That is why we're saying buy Uganda, buy quality. So this is going to help us structure our products on the quality foundation. That way, hey, you are a Ugandan producer, how best can you add to your country? That is what we are looking at. We're looking at the opportunities of saying, yes, we can do this. Yes, we can definitely execute this in one way or the other. And that is the way to go. That is a way forward for any business personality out there in Uganda. And on that particular matter, the forum will be ending 7th December, Tuesday. But then, how best can Ugandans earn from this? The market is available because according to the Tunisian delegation, they feel Uganda is a safe place for business. They feel the security here can actually help them execute their business plans, help them deal with the investments, because they're also looking at the future investment plans. They have the future investments plans of setting up bigger franchise in Uganda, bigger factories in Uganda. And what do you know? At any one point, the employment opportunities are rising, markets are rising, Ugandans getting markets in Tunisia for more of their products. All that and more is what we do expect from that particular matter. Let's switch our eyes away from the topical analysis. Meanwhile, that is it we've had from there. What are you waiting for if you're a Ugandan investor? Let's look at these stories differently. Everyone has to establish an angle in which you relate to an issue. So an incident gives you a broader view. If you are looking out there and then you get to understand that, hey, my business is dealing in powdered milk, what am I going to do to get market in Tunisia? So this is how the aggressive entrepreneurs step in. So it is your time to shine, they would say. There's an advert that I love very much. Black shines brightest. It is your time to be brighter each day. Okay, let's get away from that memoir and let's head into the Hamish Chigundu book review. It is time for more of the book review. Let's get educated. And let's kickstart it off from there, from where we did stop. It is The Reason as the World is Masterpiece. Normally I have to put it here because you need to understand more about what is in this book. And the author is a successful businessman. He's the same editor of the book and the publisher. Hamish Chigundu, a businessman, philanthropist. Not only that though, he is a lawyer. And he's a man dealing in real estate development, real estate management. What are you waiting for? You can execute it in one way or the other. Let's get right onto it. It is the Hamish Chigundu, Reason as the World is Masterpiece. The other book, I think when we are done with this, we shall actually go back to the first, which was Success and Failure Based on Reason and Reality. First edition. The second edition is Reason as the World is Masterpiece. So you can see there is the part reason everywhere you go. Okay, and we are moving on. We are still with chapter 9. Yes, let's start off with chapter 9. Last time we stopped in chapter 8, which was showing limitation, which was actually mentioning about the issue of limitations. What is limiting us from achieving certain things? What is limiting us as Ugandans to achieve certain things? What is limiting us as the African continent to achieve what we ought to achieve? Let's get it. The post-colonial period is chapter 9. The author says, a time came when it became really hard for the Western colonial countries to continue with human physical slavery as it became too expensive to capture. Transport and sale of human cargo was very expensive. They faced resistance not only from the slaves they captured as they had started fighting back, but equally from some of their fellow Europeans as they looked at slavery as a barbaric dehumanizing act. European churches preached against it, and the slave traders received a lot of resistance from the Christian church and the religious leaders in general. If you're to look at how slavery ended in terms of the physical slavery, is because even the Europeans themselves were preaching against it. The different organizations in Europe, religious denominations, were preaching against it, and in one way or the other, transformation of slavery went from the other physical to the mental slavery that we're having. The idea of human rights was equally on the rise with rapid transformation of the English laws. All this made slavery so hard that colonial masters had to look for an alternative or a way forward without necessarily losing grip and control of their colonial territories. These so many African countries gained physical These guys' independence from the colonial masters within perimeters. Based on realistic prevailing circumstances, this left one question. Which question was that? Did slavery in Africa come to an end when these African colonial states celebrated independence? Or it is still there behind closed doors? Nti tuyinza okwelowooza nti okubeera abaddu kwaggwaawo nga baslave bavuddewo mu ggwanga, manya nga bacolonial masters bavuddewo mu ggwanga, naye ekibuuzo kirala kiri nti wekiri ba. Let's move on. The colonial masters only changed the slavery structures, according to the author, and upgraded it from the physical forceful slavery to mental slavery. It was much cheaper, faster, sufficient, effective. Should I say affordable? Definitely. With very certain results as compared to physical. They are fellow human beings with criticism from everywhere. Thus, it was merely replaced with. It was easier to talk, teach, or mentally convince one into slavery through the likes of an education system or current social media platform. You see, it comes too easy, doesn't it? For the Europeans or for the Western world. I've normally given examples of my high school life and my primary, where I think I've always tried so much to love what is Ugandan and what is African. In a time whereby Uganda, in a school setting, if you have no information regarding matters of news in the West or on the European continent, then you cease to be a cool kid in school. But in the transition, we that embraced the local content became more important and have more information regarding matters than other people do. So with the mental slavery that we're talking about here, it is actually easier for the Europeans nti mu ngeri emu oba endala kyangu eri bo okutu influencing nga tebatukase. It just moves on smoothly. Just like I mentioned, it is affordable. Very affordable. Nti omuntu atunula n'agamba ati ku social media, what we see on the Europe and the social media and the European market is what we embrace. Ekyaffe ne tukikuba okufaako obufi. So we tend to compare our economies to the other. Ne bwe tuba tulina achievement enene, we still underlay ourselves by saying, you know what, the other ones are far better. So in one way or the other, ogenda okwekanga nga okay, wenkitunulira mu ngeri eno ndaba sifuna. So we are looking at it in a way that ffe nga ffe Abannayuganda oba Bafirika tuli mu slavery eri indirect. Nti abasajja bano bakitegeera nti okay, bano abantu tujja bavuga mu buddu nga tubakaka tubatwala eri. Ennaku zino things have changed, by the way. It is Ugandans seeking to actually move out of the country. So ne systems eziri wano zitukubaganya ne zituleetera okwagala okufuluma eggwanga tugende tufune ssente mu nsi z'ebweru. Kivula abaana bakeera ku makya n'asayini nga n'agenda e Dubai n'akola n'agenda those Middle Eastern countries, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, agenda akole. Abala ne bagenda e Canada, abala ne bagenda mu USA ng'amanyi nti nneeyo ye wali ssente. So wewegendereze nnyo ojja laba nti abantu bagenda olaba nti opportunities eziriwo wano mu ggwanga ntono nnyo. Era kivula abasinga balowooza nti kati kanfulume eggwanga ngende nfune ssente. Kati awo wetwogerera nti the slavery is no longer physical, it's mental. We now are agreeing to be slaves ourselves completely and also. So let's look at this. The author says, today Africans pay for their education, study so hard, and equally work hard to pay for their air tickets to fly to Western countries to work towards development of these Western countries, leaving Africa, their motherland, in absolute poverty. So until we wait for this brain drain, tugenda ne tukola ne tu developing structures zabali ne tuerabira developing structures zawano ante kino kigenda ne kikuzaayo ku working environment ya wano nti system eri mu ggwanga mu Africa mu Uganda omukozi toyina w'osobola kuviirayo okujjako nga weetemye ku mukamaawo ekitali mu nsi za bweru ti omuntu asobola okubeera ng'ali wansi wa mukozi naye ng'afuna sente ez'enjawulo. So at the end of it all, this takes us back to the structures. That what is the problem? Are we the issue? Are we the challenge? If we are, what do we need to do? If we are, what is supposed to be done in one way or the other? So let's go back to the drawing board and try to consider. Let's look at the social setting according to the author as we are summing up this particular segment of the book review. Maybe from there we shall, the next day we shall continuously end up with chapter 9, which is actually talking about the post-colonial period. The author says, socially, through social media, the African child has been made to believe that everything black and African is bad. That is why Africa is referred to as the dark continent, despite the fact that it holds 80% of the world's annual resources. In summary, the West has successfully colonized the African mind. Let's look at, let me take you into an interesting conversation here. Have you ever got into a debate of decency and indecency in the dressing code? Back in the time in the African tradition, if you look at some of the, if you did your history and African history very well, the African women, even the African men, were only covering two parts. For the women, they were actually covering the chest and the genitals. For the men, they were only covering the genitals in one way or the other. I don't know whether the women is the genitals though, but we can pick it from there. But with the transition of development, when the whites introduced these clothings, it becomes indecent when someone puts on something short, more so for a woman. And yet in the traditional African society, it wasn't. And the funny part is we do not defend our argument by referring to what our traditional people are wearing. All the time you'll hear people say, "Nga abazungu babyambala." You get the picture. So we are always comparing ourselves to them, but we can still win the argument by comparing it to the traditional African setting. We have completely thrown down our culture. We are into a setting of the Western world, the European world. Someone feels they've made it in life when they have traveled out of the country. People feel they've made it in the world when they have connections in the world, in the Western countries. So you ask yourself a question, will these people ever be there on your deathbed? So the slavery is no longer physical. It is mentally in us. It is within us. It ain't physical no more. It is actually out here driving into our minds. And so it is high time we try to consider something here. It is high time we tried to build something and tried to reconsider something at the end of it all. It is the reason as the world is masterpiece. Pick your copy anyway. Grab it. Do the reading. Let's do the review together. And you never know, in one way or the other, you can get to understand the in-depth from this particular one. Okay. Meanwhile, away from that, that brings us to the end of our topical analysis and the Hamis Chigunu book review. Coming up after the break, meanwhile, here on Smart Means Business is Andrew Barije, and he's taking us through with the matter regarding entertainment business. Stick around for more of the information. Just like I said, be the first to know. Ours is to drive your business. This is S&B.